Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm PRV. In today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to draft a basic gown block. Here on my pattern paper, I have the widest circumference among the bust, the waist and the hip divided by 2 plus 0.5 inch of ease. The hip circumference I'm working with is the widest, and it's divided into 2 plus 0.5, okay, 0.5 inch of ease. So the hip circumference I'm working with is 37 inches, divided by 2 is 18.5, and then plus 0.5 inch of ease, that is 19 inch. So from here to here I have 19 inch, and then this is the center line. I divide the box into 2 equal halves. Okay, this is my center back and this is my center front. Here is the shoulder line, and from the shoulder line down to this point is the length of my gown. Okay, the measurements we'll be working with are the shoulder, the bust point stroke the bust circumference, the waist length stroke the waist circumference, the hip line stroke the hip circumference, then the armhole length. All right, let's get to work. First, on this pattern paper here, this will be the front block and this will be the back block. So I'll move to the back block, and from the center back I'll mark the shoulder measurement. The shoulder I'm working with is 15 inch divided by 2, right from my center back, is 7.5. So I'll mark 7.5 on that point, and from that point I'll come down by 1 inch, which is the shoulder slope. And then I'll move ahead from the center back as well. On the shoulder line I'll mark the neckline. The basic neckline for the back block is 3 inch by 1 inch. The 3 inch is for the width, and then the 1 inch is for the depth. So I'll connect that with my curve ruler, and then I'll do the same thing on the front block. My shoulder from the center front is 7.5 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and then here from the center front as well I'll mark the neckline. The basic for the front block is 3 by 3, so 3 inch width and 3 inch depth. All right, I'll connect the 2 points with my curve ruler. Okay, and then from the end of the neckline width I'll connect to the shoulder slope that we have created, both on the front and back block. After doing that, we take the armhole length. The armhole length I'm working with, to determine the armhole length, you divide the bust circumference by 6, then plus 1.5 inch. I'm working with 35 inch for the bust circumference, divided by 6 is 5.8, and then plus 1.5, and that will give me 7.3. So from the shoulder slope I'll mark 7.3 inch. Okay, I'm marking 7.3 inch, and then I'll come to the center back and mark from the shoulder line down to the armhole length that we have here. You know, we have from the shoulder slope we have 7.3, so I'll be adding the 1 inch to it. That will be 8.3, the 1 inch shoulder slope. So I'm starting my measurement from the shoulder line, so that is 1 inch plus 7.3, that will be 8.3. so I'll mark 8.3. I just want to have a straight line. Okay, so I'll mark it same on the front block, 8.3 from the shoulder line, and then I'll connect that horizontally. All right, and this is our chest line. Now we have to create our armhole, and to create our armhole First, I'll connect the shoulder slope to the 7.3 that we marked here. And in order to do that, to have a straight line on the chest line, from the center back, I'll mark my shoulder measurement of 7.5 inch. Okay, I'll do the same on the front block. From the center line on the chest line, I'll mark, from the center front rather, I'll mark 7.5, just to have a straight line from my shoulder slope, and then I'll connect the 2 points. I'm cross-checking my measurements, okay? So I'm connecting the shoulder slope to the chest line now. Alright, and then we locate the midpoint of the armhole length. That is the armhole length divided into 2 equal halves. Okay? So here I have this. And I'll do the same on the front block. I'll connect the 2 points horizontally. And then on that midpoint of the armhole, we'll mark on the front block, we'll mark 0.75 inch from the armhole line, 0.75, okay? This is my 0.75. And then on the back block, at that midpoint, we'll come in by 0.5. Okay, so I'll pick my curve ruler and connect this point to this point and then to the chest line. I'm connecting the 3 points here, here, and then the chest line. Alright, so here for the back, and then I'll do the same thing on the front block. I'm connecting the 3 points. Make sure you place your curve ruler to locate the 3 points, okay? Connecting my armhole curve. Alright, so we are done with that. So this is the front armhole, and then this is the back armhole. Alright, so we'll move ahead and take all our vertical measurements. I'll come to the front block and mark my bust point. Right from the shoulder line, I'll mark the bust point I'm working with is 10.5 inch. So from the shoulder line, I'll mark 10.5 on my front block, 10.5 inch. And then I'll mark that horizontally. The waist line that I'm working, that is shoulder to waist. The first one we have done here, the bust point is shoulder to nipple. So shoulder to waist for this is 15 inch. Okay, so from the shoulder line, I'm marking 15 inch on the front block. 15 inch. Then I'll mark that horizontally as well. And then from the waistline to the hip line, the distance is 8 inch. It could be 8 or 9 inch depending on the body size, okay? So from my waistline, I'll mark 8 inch distance for the hip line. And then this is our hip line. So we move to the back block. Right from the shoulder line, I'll mark the waistline. The waist line I'm working with here is 13 inch. That is 2 inch different from the front block. So from the shoulder line, I'll mark 13 inch. This is my back length. That is shoulder to waist, 13 inch. and then I'll mark that horizontally, and this is my waistline here. From the waistline, remember it's 8 inch. Eight-inch distance, and then I'll mark that across as well. And then from the hemline, this is the hemline, the end of the gown. For the back block, remember the front length is 15 inch. That is shoulder to waist for front is 15 inch. Shoulder to waist for back is 13 inch. So 15 minus 13 will be 2 inch. So I'll come to the hemline of the back block and move up by 2 inch. So that means the back block is 2 inch lesser than the front block. So I'll connect that horizontally as well. So this represents our hem line for the back block, our hem. This is the hem for the back block, and this is the hem for the front block. Okay. The next thing is to mark the dart width, which is the bust span divided by 2. The bust span here the bust span is commonly known as a nipple to nipple, and the bust span I'm working with here is 8 inch divided by 2 is 4 inch. So from my center back on the chest line, I'll mark 4 inch distance. And I'll come to the front block from the center front on the bust point line. Remember, this is our bust point line. This is the chest line, and this is the bust point. Okay, that is shoulder to nipple. So from the center front, I'll mark 4 inch distance. 4 inch. 4 inch. Okay, from the hip line, I'll move up by 2 inch on both front and back block. 2 inch, so our dart is not getting to the hip line. So 2 inch from the hip line, I'll move up by 2 inch. And then I'm marking my dart width at that point. Okay, so we'll connect that vertically. Alright, vertically on both front and back block. The basic dart intake is 0.5 inch. This depends on the body size as well. It could be 0.75 on both ends, 0.75 is 0.75, and it could be 1 inch here, 1 inch here. So it depends on the body size. But here I'll be taking 0.5 on both ends. So on the waistline for the back block, I'll take 0.5 inch here and then 0.5 inch here. I'll move to the chest line and come down by 1 inch. And then I'll connect this dart intake to this point and then to the 1 inch that we have just measured. Okay, I'm connecting my dart now. And then we'll move to the front block and do the same. 0.5 inch on the waistline. This is our waistline. 0.5 here and 0.5 here. From the bust point, okay, we'll come down by 1 inch as well. And then connect my dart to this point. And then to the 2 inch above the hip line. All right, and then we'll move ahead to the back block and take in 0.5 inch. This is also dependent on the body size. For the bulge on the back bodies, and that zipper area, the bulge always comes out of the zipper area. In order to avoid that, here for the back tightening, I will be using 0.5 inch. It could be 0.75, it could be 1 inch. So on the waistline, from the center back, I'm moving by 0.5 inch, and then I'll come to the neckline, the neckline depth. From the neckline depth down to the chest line, measure the distance there. So here, then divide it into 2 equal halves. The distance from the end of the neckline depth to the chest line divided by 2. So this is this point. So I'm going to connect this 0.5 to this point and then to the hip line. Like so. All right. So this is going out of our block. Okay, and then we'll move ahead and take all our circumferences. The bust circumference is 35 inch. Divided by 4 is 8.75. So I'll mark my 8.75 on the chest line for the back block. 8.75. Okay. 8.75 here. And then the waist circumference is 30, divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'll mark my 7.5 plus 1 inch dart allowance. You know, 0.5 here, 0.5 here is 1. So I'm adding 1 inch to the waist measurement. Okay. So here I have 8.5 inch. And then on the hip line, I'll mark the hip circumference divided by 4. 37 divided by 4 is 9.25. Okay, but I'll be using everything I have here. I'm having 9.5. So I have 0.25 of ease on the hip line. Okay, so I'm taking everything here. So that means my measurement stops at the center line here. Then we'll come to the hemline for the back block. We'll be reducing the back block here. From the center back, I'll mark 1 inch. And then from the midpoint here, I'll come in by 1 inch as well. Okay? And then I'll connect this 1 inch here to the hip line. Like so. And then here. Also, I'll connect it to the hip line. So here we have our back block set. Now we'll move to the front block. Take the bust circumference 8.75. Then on the front block, I'll be adding 0.25 of ease to my measurement for the bust circumference. This is optional. So I'm having 9 inch. Okay, I added 0.25 ease. And then we'll come to the waistline and mark the waist circumference divided by 4, then plus 1 inch dart allowance. That is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5 plus 1 is 8.5. And then on the hip line, we are taking everything here. On the hemline for the front block, remember we took in 1 inch here for the back block, 1 inch here, 1 inch here. So 1 plus 1 is 2 inch. So from the midpoint, I will move in by 2 inch. Okay, I'll connect the 2 inch to the hip line. and then I'll connect the other measurements as well. The bust circumference to the waist circumference, and then to the hip circumference. Alright, and then we'll move ahead and take the bust dart. Remember, the difference between the front and back block is 2 inches. So I'll come to the bust point on the front block, and from the bust point line, I'll come down by 2 inches, which is the difference between our front and back block. Then I'll connect that to the bust point, like so. So this is our bust dart. So by the time we close the bust dart, we'll have equal length on the side for both front and back block. So this is our basic gown block. I'll be cutting this out, I'll show you, then we'll go ahead and close our bust dart. So the first thing I want to do is to slit the center line, this mid line. I will slit it, separating the front block from the back block. Alright. Okay, so I've gone ahead to separate the front block from the back block by slitting the center line. So here I have my front block, and we want to close the bust dart. So we'll come to the shoulder line, the slanted shoulder. Okay, measure what we have there and divide it into 2 equal halves. So we are locating the midpoint of the shoulder here. Okay, so this is the midpoint. Connect that to the bust point. Alright, and then we'll move ahead and slash this line. The line we just created, we slash it to the bust point. Okay, and go ahead to close the bust dart. You can cut it out outrightly. Okay, close the bust dart and secure it with your masking tape. Alright, and then we'll come to the side measurement. The measurement for the bust will shift a little after closing the bust dart, so you reshape it just a little. You just reshape it like so. I hope you have seen that. And then we'll cut out our measurement. Here we are done with the front block, so I'm going to cut this out now, and then I'll show you. So here is our front block. I'll put this aside and pick the back block. Now on the back block, you come to this end of the back block. Remember the 1 inch we moved in from the center back. This is our center back. We moved in by 1 inch. So from that 1 inch, I'll mark 2 inch. Here we want to create a back vent. Okay, so I'll mark 2 inch from that point. Not from the center back, from this 1 inch that we have moved in with. We have moved in by 1. So I'll mark 2 inch outward. Okay, 2 inch. And then from the hem, I'll move up by 7 inch. This is dependent on you, how long you want the slit to be. It can be 6 inch and it can be 7 inch. So I'm marking 7 inch from the hem line. Okay, so from that 7 inch, I'll mark 2 inch outward also. Remember, my 2 inch does not start from the center back. It's starting from this 1 inch slanted line that we have moved in with from the hem and we connected to the hip line. So I'll mark 2 inch from that point outward as well. Okay, so I'll connect my measurements. I'll connect this like so, and then I'll connect it down to the hem. So here is our back vent for the back block. Let me shade it out so you can see. This is the back vent. We are cutting this together with our back block. So my shading is for you to see the measurements, okay? So I'll cut this out now, and then I'll show you. So here is our back block. This is the vent. Okay, I'll place it side by side so you can see. So looking closely now, you can see we have equal length on the side of both front and back block, because we have eliminated the length which is longer, the front length which is longer than the back length. We have eliminated that on the side, okay, by closing our bust dart. So here is the front block, okay, front block, and then this is the back block. Okay, so this will be the end of our tutorial for today. Thank you for being part of this tutorial. If you are new on this channel, please kindly subscribe. Click on the subscribe button and also click on the notification bell in order to get notification of our free videos. Remember, subscribing is not at any fee, it's free. So kindly hit on the subscribe button. Thank you for being part of this tutorial. Bye for now.